today I'm going to be bracing these red deuce tomatoes. These are determinate tomatoes, so they're only going to grow to a certain height, and then they're going to produce their fruit, and that's going to be it. So I live on the southeast coast of North Carolina, and we get very hot and humid here. Now I have been very successful with my tomato crops, and that's because I always trim out all these leaves so that it can get good airflow as the plant is growing, because usually I'll grow indeterminate and determinate. So the indeterminate will grow as a vine and it'll keep growing, but it really doesn't produce as much or basically the same amount of tomatoes as the determinates. So the indeterminates will keep putting on fruit until frost if you properly take care of them. But with these red deuce tomatoes, as you notice, I haven't trimmed out anything. Even with the determinates, I'll usually get these leaves off of the ground, and I might do that because I don't like the leaves on the ground, because you see all that dirt and it creates disease. So what I'm going to do today is take and use T-posts, these type of posts, little steel posts or metal posts. I think they're steel. And then I'm going to put them every so many feet, and then I'm going to string them up. Usually I start out with a Florida weave. Now tomatoes will stain your hand. So most of the time in the summertime I have hands that look like they're just dirty and black. I've found out that stain remover, like you spray on your clothes, helps out, and washing it off as soon as possible. Pretty much you have to scrub it. Most of it has to wear off. So I probably will go down here and trim off these bottom leaves. And most of the time when they hang like this, it starts here and it goes down here. I'll trim this off. I like to keep my tomato plants off of that dirt. But this year I've kind of did it this way, and I don't, reason I did it this way because somebody says don't trim them, right? Well, I can't help myself, because I don't like my plants having all this dirt on them. So you don't have to trim them, because usually the tomato plant puts out more growth. But I'm going to trim the bottom portion before I try to get them trellis up. And then, see, like this one right here, eventually it'll be touching the ground. I just like to trim that. It's got dirt all over it. That one right there is close to the dirt. I might trim it. Sometimes I'll go ahead and trim them and then go back and look. And then I always throw these pieces back in the garden so it can go back into the soil. Now I have a marigold sitting over here. Marigolds is very good for insect deterrent, and they are compatible planting. Well, there's one right here too. So I got them in between the tomatoes. I'm just looking at my plant, trying to see what's going on with it. I'm going to trim that one off. It's got a sucker going up. I was going to try not to trim them, but I just really don't like all that dirt all over my plants. If I lose a few tomatoes, so be it. But to me, this is easiest. It's best. Helps create that air circulation. And so I can see inside the plant if there's any insects and tomato worms, hornworms get on these, then I can see better. As these plants grow, I just trim them. I just like trimming my tomatoes. You don't have to do this. This is just something I do. And it seems to work, for me. So I'm gonna go on down and trim all these tomatoes. I also find out with plants that if you trim, don't be worried about even if you lose a few tomatoes, all those nutrients is going to the rest of the plant. And that's how I look at it. Plus I want these marigolds to get the proper sunlight. The thing is, I believe in growing fruit and not leaves. And if you let your tomatoes, especially indeterminate, well, really either one of them, you're just going to be producing leaves, and you can't see. It's not going to get a good airflow. You can't see in there. The blooms are not going to get the proper light. Now you don't want to trim too much, because you trim too much and your tomatoes can get scald, sun scald. Now really what I like to do, you can go like every other plant. I like to go to every plant because as this plant grows, then it's going to need more support. But the thing of it is that it just makes it easier as the plant grows because every plant grows differently. And my focus is just to keep it off the ground. Will tomatoes grow on the ground? Yes, they will, but they will get lots of insects. These will probably get about 3 or 4 feet high. So usually I'll start out with a Florida weave. Now the Florida weave is that you tie it on one end, you take the string and you weave in and out of the tomato plants. Go to the other end and weave the opposite way and go in and out until you end up here. Then as the plant grows, you do the exact same thing. Now I have better luck with smaller plants, smaller tomato plants that are smaller, doing that. Now when I do the ones that run as the vine, then I have a more difficult time with the Florida weave. I start out with that away, but I end up taking and doing the plants the way the plants need to be done according to their growth. So this twine right here I got off of Amazon, and I've had it for about 5 years, and I used to grow about 70 plus tomato plants. Then I narrowed it down to 50 some, and now I'm at 15 and I got some in the greenhouse because I really don't need that many tomatoes this year. So probably about a total of 22 tomato plants is going to be enough for me this year. So I like to take my twine and keep it in something other. It came in a box. It came into a box, but the box after 5 years starts getting worn out. I try to put it in something other because the soil, the dirt on the string, it makes it a little bit more difficult for me. I don't like all that dirt on there, and plus I'm putting it around my tomato plants. So I'm just going to tie it into a knot. Make sure it's tight. Now I like these posts right here because it got a little U on one side and then they got holes into the middle. So as the plants are growing, I can either put it through the hole or through the U shape. And plus, if I've got my tomato going all crazy and stuff, then I can wrap it around here real quickly and go up and pull it up, pull this tomato plant up so it will be hanging to the ground. So all I'm going to do now is look at the plant and just do going in and out. So we're on this side. And then I try to look at my plant and see where I need to lay this string at. Not binding the plant, not getting it too tight or smashing the leaves, but just getting it where it can reinforce it. At the other end, I'll either wrap it around several times around the last post, or I can cut it with my scissors, tie another knot, start all over again, and go to the very end. Another thing I like to do is after I get so far down, because this string will start getting slack, is take and wrap it around a post to make it the string more tighter. Then get insects or more insects. If I have a gap like I do right here, there's not going to be any plant here at the moment, then I definitely want to make sure that this string is, not say super tight, but tight, so as these plants grow, it's going to give it good support. So we have it tied at the end, got it tied down there. That's that U shape. I've wrapped it around a couple of times, about 3 times, tied it. But you see how it's going on this side, and then it's going on the other side, reinforcing these tomato plants. The shorter stakes are a lot easier than the taller stakes as far as that twine, but it works super great. Some of these I'll have to come in, like that one's shorter right there than this one. Plants grow differently, and so I might come over here and tie one right there, tie it over here, and just brace it. Some people will go ahead and wrap the string all the way around and wait for the tomato plant to grow up, but I don't do that. I usually try to just according to the growth of the tomato plant. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on to the next video. If you want to know how the easiest way to tie up your tomato plants, because I've loved it this way, the ones that your little cages that you get from like the big box store, they don't work very well with me, because as the plant grows it can get top heavy, the wind comes, blows it over. Oh, it's nothing like having a tomato plant that's loaded down with tomatoes and blooms, come out to the garden and see it laying onto the ground. Now it works okay into the greenhouse. It depends on the variety of the tomato plants, but you can also take wire and like fence wire and just make a circle and tie it, put wire around to join it together, lay it over your tomato plant, but you're going to have to stake the bottom, because if a wind comes by, then it's going to blow those tomato plants over. So I've been doing this for years and years, and I find out that this works best for me using these little posts right here. These are about 4 feet high posts here. You can get them 3 feet high, 4 feet high, 5, 6 feet high, however high you want it. But if I have tomato plants that's going to be running about 6 or 7 or 8 feet tall, then I use the regular T-post. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on to the next video.